Okay, hey, welcome to the Shnat Netzer information evening, packed house. So this presentation, hopefully, it's your chance to gain a little bit more information about Shnat Netzer and the kind of program it is, whether it's right for you, them too. So first, we're going to show you a video. This is a video that the Shnutties made 2 years ago. Did Tom Godsky lead your guys' highlights? So he featured prominently in it. So it's that kind of video. And to gain a little bit more information about Shnat Netzer and the kind of program it is, whether it's right for you. Well, that's not what we do. Yeah.
Have I made this?
This should be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
The no speakers. Sorry, technical difficulties. Okay. There is no.
Here I was, 9 months in and just 72 hours of my Shnut journey remained, almost a breaking point. Brief memories often hit me, but they get fainter and fainter as time goes on. My epic journey over the last year is a blur of meeting new people, making new friends, seeing and living really in new places. New ideas, new ideologies, and well, everything else. My journey is far from over.
Tell me, mother, can you hear me say? Tell me, mother, can you hear me say? Your love is everything. Your love is everything. Not a soul. When you feel your love is
Coming this fall and every fall, Shnat Netzer gives you the opportunity of a lifetime. Join Tom and many others before him on a reformed Zionist adventure of epic proportions. Spin your own tale of friendship, Judaism, politics, and fun as you discover the land of peace, Eretz Yisrael. Shnat Netzer presents an unexpected journey.
Okay, so that's a trailer that was made by some Shnutties a couple of years ago. A bit maybe over the top and a bit maybe dramatic, but also indicates like what really happens in terms of like creativeness and community building. Some of the things they do, and you saw hiking, places they visited, their views from their balcony, stuff like that. And we're going to go over that a bit more detail and sort of highlight that. So, what is LJY-Netzer, and like why do we run like Shnat Netzer or participate in it? Is like the central reason is because we're a progressive Zionist youth movement, and essentially what we take to mean is that as we're Zionist, what we combine our Zionism with sort of progressive, liberal Jewish values, and we feel that this program sort of reflects that. That even if people know lots about lots about LJY, they don't necessarily know lots about Netzer. They kind of get that through the youth movement and maybe through Kayets where they sort of spend time with RSY. But sort of Netzer's a worldwide organisation, has sort of branches everywhere from like the UK to China to Panama. Earlier today we saw a picture of Panama's winter camp. It looked like the most idyllic place in the world and much sunnier than our summer camps. And I think being part of Netzer, what's amazing is kind of some worldwide progressive Jewry. So I think sometimes in the British Jewish community, you can get a bit, we're this small part of a larger bit in Britain, whereas when you're meeting progressive Jews with similar values from all over the world, it can be really like inspiring thing where you can like debate and learn and grow with people from all over the world with similar values. I think a question that we get asked more and more is like, why take a gap year? That lots of people want to know like why Shnat, and we'll talk about that in a bit, and why go on this gap year. But actually, I think more and more people are asking why take a gap year, and we think like in general, like I think taking a gap year can offer so much personally as well as sort of skills and later in life. Just sort of like at university, going to university, the people in halls that I was with that are taking a gap year versus that came straight from school, you can see a marked difference in their kind of independence, whether that's like managing money or cooking or just sort of general maturity, things like that. And actually, you saw them, especially the first sort of 3-4 months, get so much more out of the university experience than those who come straight from school and sort of whose first experience of that kind of and level of independence was university. As well as sort of that, I think of building those life skills, and especially a gap year where you travel, you like go on Shnat, you'll have sofas to stay in when you go to Australia. Like if you ever like anywhere else in the world, you always have friends, and actually making those worldwide connections is like a really good thing personally, but also like, a nice thing. Yeah. This is Shnat's mission statement. It will like give you an idea about like, why, like what is the purpose of Shnat Netzer and what the staff and we hope they get out of it, or like participants get out of it on the program. Shnat Netzer in a nutshell. What do you actually do? Because I think like sometimes you go to Israel, you sell converts, you do this. Sometimes people get like wonder what you actually do for sort of 8 months. So it opens with a seminar in Jerusalem. This is kind of in acclimatizing. Everyone will meet for the first time. We do an orientation in the UK first with RSY, but sort of in Jerusalem is where all the members from like Germany, the USA, Spain, all the other SNFM that sort of Northern Shnat do will meet.
Can I ask them, for example, this year, how many Brits?
So this year there are 15 Brits, and I think 5 from other members of like Northern Hemisphere. Last year there were 19 Brits and I think like 8. So it varies year on year. Generally we see the trend is between sort of 15 and 22 Brits, and between 9 sort of rest of the Northern Hemisphere. So yeah, that's where they first meet, that Jerusalem orientation seminar, to go over all the rules and regs, and it's very much sort of like embedding them as like a group and bonding. Where they take that bonding sort of the step further is they go to Kibbutz Lotan and have sort of 4 weeks of sort of group experience. So they stay in the mud domes, and they don't work. They have sort of classes or activities for that month. If people really want to do work, they can volunteer. The Kibbutz like welcomes them. It's like one of the 2 progressive like Jewish kibbutz. founded by lots of Netzer members. They really like embrace Shnatties who go there and make them feel part of the community. People normally go there and love it and don't want to leave. I know, like, just LJY Israel tours, for like a lot of them, the highlight is staying with bits of town. A lot of them are very excited to get back. Then options period. So this is either staying in Lotan or going to Carmiel. Carmiel's in the Galilee, sort of the north of Israel. And on Lotan, that's when they start, if they're staying there working, so they have their job, whether that's with the goats or cows or in the kitchen, something like that. And they also have lessons, Hebrew to ecology and sort of everything like that, as well as like Judaism and Zionism and all those things. They also have a host family, and they also do have weekends off, so they can sort of travel around Israel and visit the people in Carmiel and all these other things. Carmiel, what they do is they live in a shared house and they volunteer. There are like quite a few volunteering options, and a lot of the times they can be tailored depending on what you want to do maybe later in life. There's people who want to study medicine who have sort of volunteered in hospital, people who want to be teachers, volunteered in schools or like nurseries, and there really is sort of a bit of flexibility there where thinking that it's not like rigid, you have to do this in terms of volunteering options. You live in a shared house, so you're doing the cooking, you're doing the cleaning, all the educators, they generally come to you and do the occasions in your house in your living room, and it's really sort of up to you to be independent and things like that. After that, there is the Jerusalem period, so that's either Epicure or Mahon. There's more information about them later, but essentially Epicure is a Netzer program. It's run by the Netzer staff. They get some external educators, but they do a lot of the education. This is also the time where the southern Shnatties join them. So on Epicure, there would also be a sort of an influx of people from Australia or South Africa as well, and it really becomes sort of northern worldwide, which is sort of generally lasts for a couple of years. Mahon is cross-communal, so it's not run by Netzer, for ages, and is essentially this institute for. It's a lot more formal than Epicure. It's sort of done on a university-style campus, and you have university-style timetables of a lot of lectures. You're in sort of dorm rooms, whereas on Epicure you have dorm rooms, but they're like 6 maybe people. On Mahon, sort of 2 or 3. And yeah, it's cross-communal, so it's done with other movements, and is generally there's more intensive study, whereas Epicure, because you're living on a flat, you have time to sort of do the cooking and do the cleaning, and they very much encourage sort of discussion, how you're going to live, not only just like living, but like, are you going to be a vegetarian household? Are you going to be kosher? Are you going to pray together? Are you going to eat together? And all these discussions sort of happen the first couple of weeks. So a lot of the times, therefore, sort of mini committees within Epicure to run things. Yeah, and their closing seminar, which is always very sad. So this will go into like a bit more detail about each section. So yeah, this is the group experience. As I said, a lot of the learning is sort of Hebrew and Zionism, and there's less of like the traditional work, but there's still sort of lots of things you can do. And the very much point of it is to get the group that have either never met or don't know each other, like into sort of that kind of famous Shnat mentality where these will be your friends not only for like 8 months, but actually for life. There was just been a reunion of the Shnat year that went in 2010, the 2009-2010, their 5th anniversary, sort of coming back, and people flew in from Germany and flew from Spain. Actually, it was like a really big deal, and these people aren't forgotten even if they're in different countries, and it's a really nice experience. That's where it all starts.
And in terms of sort of teaching, is that a mix of Hebrew and English, or is it all in?
So it's in English, except for their Hebrew classes, and even the Hebrew classes essentially they're tiered. So some people might have Israeli parents or family, so they can speak a bit of Hebrew or are fluent, and they'll be in a high tier. Some people won't speak any, and there could be basics. Also, some people are language people and just pick stuff up instantly, and yeah. So yeah, the options periods. As I said, like they have a host family, and actually, lots of people really enjoy having a host family because whenever I've been on Shnat orientation for the last couple of years, and all people's aims are, I want to learn Hebrew and get better at that, and it's a really good opportunity to actually really embrace that and actually go to them. No, don't speak English to me, even though they all speak like American, they all speak perfect English. Can you speak Hebrew? And it's a really nice thing. Yeah. And I'll say like Carmiel is actually like also something nice. It's a progressive community there. So there's also kind of the sense of trying to engage with Israel's progressive Jewish community in sort of a maybe a more normal setting than a convert. The idea that actually as progressive diaspora Jews, we have that connection to Israel as well as Orthodox Jews, and I think something that actually what like progressive Jews around the world is looking to like push for change and having that better relationship in terms of their Judaism as well. As I said, like these are some of the tracks that there have been in the past on Carmiel. They kind of vary depending on interest. I think like generally what's happened over the last couple of years, it's mainly been kind of like some sort of sports kind of tracks in terms of like volunteering at sort of coexistent sports activities, or like lots of people volunteer in schools or teaching English, and lots of people like do stuff like in the medical kind of side of it as well. Yeah, Jerusalem period. So that is the actual no, that's not the view from the Epicure flat, but the Epicure flat is an amazing position. So the Epicure flat is right next to the old city, and essentially before it was leased by the Israeli government before 1967, so it wasn't in the best location because it was right on the border, and when that was pushed back, it then became prime real estate. So essentially has this amazing view that sort of you probably have to pay sort of hundreds of pounds a night in a hotel, but it's sort of like a really inspirational setting for someone's sort of Zionist and Jewish journey to like unfold. That looking out and seeing like the old city every time you wake up in the morning, it's like an amazing feature that very few organizations and like have the ability to have as well. As well as all the lessons and like learning that you do, you also go on Lim, which are hikes. You'll take one in the north and one in the south, and they're generally again like really nice bonding experiences. Whenever there's like the start of Epicure, you'll do a big bonding thing with the Australians who you'll meet for the first time, and it's just generally seen as a very like, if you want to sort of focus on the communal living aspect rather than maybe intensely the education aspect, people generally go for Epicure. And Mahon's generally the more sort of educationally intensive aspect. Mahon. So as I said, it's cross-communal. So you're with everyone from sort of BA to B'nai Akiva to Haba and Draw and sort of all these other movements, and it's a really good opportunity to like learn from them all. That I think sometimes we get caught up and with lots of people in the same room telling each other we're right. And actually, this is a really good opportunity to actually meet people with differing views and learn together and actually grow together with them. As I said, like they sleep in dormitory and all their meals are provided, so there's less of that kind of communal living aspect. Whereas on Epicure, they have a budget which they have to divide up themselves, like for like cooking and eating and plan their meals. They have all their meals provided, so it's a lot easier in sort of that sense. But again, as I said, a lot more like educationally intense. And yeah, they also have voluntary placements. And chilling, yeah. So what else is there? Like there's kind of the main sort of sections, but within that there's always other things. So they have weekends. Most of the time they have their weekends off, which means they can go and sort of explore Israel, and sort of go and sort of friend with their friends, and lots of people go camping and like very like just different things depending on what they want to do. They can also, if they're really tired, they can also just stay in a flat and sleep. Chofish is holiday. So they have two sort of sections of holidays throughout the year. One is over Hanukkah, and one is in like Pesach. So the Pesach one, this is Zorba Festival, which everyone goes to every year, and it's like a music festival. Everyone loves it. It's sort of spiritual and sort of really eye-opening experience. Generally, those are the times where parents come and visit as well. Although like not official advice, we've seen a lot of participants prefer parents visiting over Christmas or like Hanukkah, because there's like a lot less to do in Israel, where with Pesach there's quite a lot going on, kind of thing. And Massah events. So Massah is with the Israeli government and the Jewish Institute for Israel, and essentially they do loads of programs for like gap year students, and they're really cool. They're normally like massive events, so like mega event on tour, and sort of really big, like loud Israel things, generally quite fun. And there are also seminars. So as well as the opening and closing seminars, there'll be seminars throughout the year. Some of them will be on weekends, some of them will be sort of week long, and they'll be sort of on specific topics. So over the past couple of years, there've been seminars on sort of the conflict, seminar on like Jewish identity. There's been an IDF seminar, spirituality, and it's really tailored to that Shnat group. Because like 2 years ago, they were very sort of spiritual, very into their sort of Judaism and prayer. That's why they did sort of spirituality of Jewish identity. And it's really the staff, it isn't necessarily planned sort of at the start of the year, because they want to tailor it to what's best for the like participants and make sure that the program works for them as well as like them, and they can get the most out of it. Oh, something else that's not actually on that list is also Yom Teruah, which is movement days. So every Tuesday, Mahon and Edgar sort of come together as sort of Netzer and like do activities together, whether that's sort of volunteering or group learning, and it's sort of a really good time to like think about actually Netzer as a whole rather than like your individual sort of part of the program. So why Shnat Netzer? So like, why go on this thing that we just sort of discussed for about 20 minutes? Like that's full of like cleaning up after yourself and cooking and learning and like education. So like, I think sort of ideologically, it's the next step in like LJY-Netzer journey. It's a great base not to only like learn and like have knowledge, but also learn skills, like Hadraha skills especially. Like it's built as sort of a Hadraha course, and whether that's volunteering at schools or like going off and running things, or just if they being responsible. They're all such like acts of like leadership that actually does help LJY-Netzer and LJY-Netzer leaders, as well as sort of their like personal individual selves. Yeah, I think that sort of the self-development part of it is also like really important. Like in a scary way and in a great way, people have gone with deferred places to university and then decided actually I want to do a different course, and have like reapplied and got back into university. But actually, it's given them a chance to have a break, like think about actually what do they want to do with their lives in sort of a bit of a less stressful environment, and really sort of have some like personal reflection time, which can be like really useful.
I think it's like a real opportunity to kind of create the kind of community that you want to, and build that kind of, it's that first one, kind of, you create the experience and you live by the values that you find important, and it's about finding out personally and as a group what are the things that are important to you, and it's like that's a really powerful experience. And
actually, like compared to sort of other gap years that are sort of traveling alone around Southeast Asia or America, this is probably the only time in like your life that you can actually have the opportunity to go with a group of people who have a shared sort of ideology and actually create a community in a bit of an idealistic way. Actually think about how you want communities in general to run. Like whether there are like, lots of people now go traveling like after university, you don't have those opportunities to build communities in the same way. Like there just aren't those programs out there. So these, I'll give you a minute or two to read, what some participants and participants' parents have said in the past. And they're all in the handout there. So cost of funding. This is always a big thing. Like Shnat is an expensive program. Like we obviously think like it's worth the cost or we wouldn't be sort of selling it. However, because we realise it's an expensive thing, there is sort of substantial funding. So there are like numerous grants available from scholarships from like the UJA and Massar to like LJ also gives out money as well to numerous sort of independent bodies that give monies to individuals to go on this kind of program.
I mean, just on the cost, I mean, just something, what is the total and when does that need to be paid?
So generally, the price is £12,500. If there were very low numbers, it might go up because it's a bit of a cost thing, and if there are very high numbers, it might go down.
And people pay generally in installments throughout the year.
Okay.
Also, generally, sort of in the past.
Or do you mean when they're there?
When they're there, but also like we also have people who pay sort of beforehand. So like they want to put down money sort of from the point they decide to go, sort of every month. So actually, when it comes down to it, it's in a much more gradual way, and that's better for them. And we're willing to sort of talk and work out what is best.
It all comes from that first statement that it's inclusive, and we will do whatever it takes, like to help any person pay for it. So if it needs to be more spread out, we'll do that. And if they need bursary systems and more support and help people find, we've supported people to find how much they need to find.
Also in the past, LJ has given out loans as well as sort of direct funding, so that payment, not like the interest-free loan, that essentially means that they can go and that like because we need to pay Netzer the money, that essentially that money gets paid and then.
And are there any additional costs above that 12.5?
So no, spending money. Spending money is the only additional cost, and that's very much some people like during Hofesh want to sort of go away, and they obviously need to more, and it's very much sort of depending on what they want to do during their sort of time. So Massar, should be Massar. Grant was for it. So Massar, something that they do is give a grant to every applicant. It's $500 to sort of every applicant that's non-means tested. You can also apply for the Massar scholarship. The Massar scholarship can be anything up to $10,000, and essentially is a means tested thing. And we recommend that everyone applies for it. Because essentially, there's no, if you don't get it, you'll get the 500. And while it is like paperwork and things like that, like because it is an expensive program, we recommend people going through that, and kind of a lot of people get, if not a lot extra, like a bit extra. The application process. There's actually no deposit anymore, although as I said, like we're happy to sort of accept payment beforehand and on like the payment process scheme. Then there's like various forms. So on my left, this is sort of the scholarship and bursary section. Imagine MRJ was LJ. So there are various forms to fill out in terms of applying for bursary from us, the UJ. So, and then the rest of it is like the Netzer application, which includes sort of medical and welfare things, and also sort of an essay and an interview. Generally, those interviews, sometimes the Shnat director, whose name's Leor, lovely, flies over, and like a lot of time, because a lot of time parents want to meet her as well, and in the past the Shnat director has sort of gone to families for dinner and actually like talked through the program or anything question they want to ask her directly, things like that. Sometimes they're just done by Skype, and they're generally there to make sure the program is right for the participant. I don't think there's anyone who's been rejected after an interview. They're there to make sure the participant is going for the right reason, and actually they realise the kind of program it is, which for all like the fun and like friendship and all that, is also ideological and learning and all that stuff as well. Then you get accepted, and then there's sort of sorting out the visas and the phones and all those sort of little bits before you go. That is important information. Those are my contact details. In case you have any questions after this, I'll send around Robert, which has kind of everything that I said. Keep the handout as well. And yeah, if you have sort of any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch or ask now. Questions?
Tom? No, not once again. No questions. No, just like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned some of the grants. What are the grants that potentially might be available?
The UJA they do grants for Israel programs, so they do look the Israel tour and the Shnat. So
A lot of them means tested.
yeah, so that is means tested, but they are very aware that these programs are expensive, so that their threshold of means is not as low as you would expect it to be.
And something that we've been discussing with them like over the past year or so is actually not only that like there's this awkward thing where either someone has enough money to pay for like the program and it's fine, or they like don't have enough, like really don't have enough money and they get the grant. So there's this kind of in the middle that can't really afford it, and we've been really kind of pushing them to sort of raise raise the criteria, raise the amount of people that can get like scholarships and grants, and they've really been like responsive to that. And
others as well that we've gone to in the past as Prozyme.
Yeah.
They quite happily, and that's not means tested.
Yeah.
They will give. I'm trying to think who else. Most synagogues will give a donation towards it because they know that it's investing in their future. And likewise, LJ will support. But there's a whole list, isn't there? There was one parent who a few years ago went to lots of places and got lots of grants, and then kind of wrote a list to be helpful for future parents. So we've got a big list.
And I think that's the thing. I think like what we don't want is people not to ask the questions. Sort of, we will do like everything in our power to make sure the reason someone doesn't go isn't for financial reasons. We will like push like communal organisations as hard as like we can. We will put in the time and effort. We just want people to like approach us kind of in the sense that I think lots of people are put off by the price and don't start that conversation.
I mean, in terms of feedback from people who don't shout, I mean, there's been some problems or criticisms.
So I think some people find it a bit structured, but I think they find it structured sort of at the time, and then like looking back, they realise actually I needed some structure with the kind of freedom. It's not like living in a flat, like there you go, here's your budget. There are sort of there's staff and they're like pastoral care, but with that kind of staff and like education, all the extra things come sort of expectations, and like rules essentially. And I think some people at first sort of struggle with that balance, but I think generally it ends up okay. And yeah.
As I say, I went on Shnat quite a few years ago, but, and I had a very big Shnat group, and they were a very diverse group, and well, people from like all different types of people, and everyone stayed to the end and had a great time.
Also, it's an
And
8 month.
it kind of works for different people in different ways.
So it's an 8 month program. There are going to be like ups and downs for everyone, and there'll be people who have like a lot of downs. But I think that the general consensus of sort of everyone that, like, at least like people that I've talked to that gone, is that it was a massively life-changing experience that has affected them to like this point, whether it's like people who now work in social action charities because they were inspired by like the work that they sort of started, the people that they met, doing like amazing work in Israel, to people who just say that it's helped them network, it's helped them do better at uni. That I think you would struggle to find one person who says it wasn't like a transformative experience.
All right, I'm not going to say. I should build your confidence up to me. Comments, I don't know. All right.
We've got brochures.
We got
upstairs.
brochures. Yeah.
We've got a very lovely brochure made last year, which all the details are exactly the
So
same,
apart from the
apart from the date.
All the details, yeah, the program hasn't really changed.
When does the process start?
So probably applications will come out early next year, maybe late this year. Yeah, I can also send you like an old application form. I'm pretty sure they haven't changed in a couple of years as well. If sort of to get the process started. Yeah. Also, in terms of sort of like, in terms of something like finances, it's always best to get the conversation started sooner rather than later, and we can get those conversations started sort of as immediately as people want.
Sorry, Tom, you said, have you done Shnat?
I haven't done Shnat. One of my big regrets. We all have a few.
Good.
Right, should we
Thank
go
you.
upstairs and get
Yeah,
your brochure and sort out?
Thank you.
Bye, one viewer.